So with all the big console announcements and all this huge stuff being unveiled recently, I think we need to discuss what games are coming out at launch. So the big PS5 reveal happened last week, and of course I had my thoughts on it. And we went through and I talked about the games that were announced. I talked about the console itself. And it got me thinking, why are you going to purchase one of these consoles, the Xbox Series X or the PS5? Why are you going to purchase one day one? Well, there's really only one reason, and that would be the games. I mean, that's why we're even caring about these, right? But specifically, what is going to be exclusive? Now, if you watch the PS5 reveal that they had last week, a lot of those games are either, timed exclusives or not exclusive at all. I mean, Resident Evil 8 is a great example. That game is going to be on every console. So, why would you pick one over the other? And when you get down to that, you really bring it down to a lot less information. Now, if you are going on the PlayStation side, the only games that were technically announced for this year, besides, the stuff we're gonna get, right? The FIFAs, the Maddens, what have you. The only stuff it's exclusive for PlayStation is that tech demo that comes installed on every system. So is that gonna be a game worth picking up the PlayStation 5 for? Doubtful. And the other one is the new Spider-Man game, Miles Morales. Now, like I said in my last video, the Miles Morales game is technically not built for the PlayStation 5 as far as from the ground up. The Miles Morales game is kind of like a, it's a glorified DLC. It's built on all of the infrastructure that they laid out on the PS4 version of Spider-Man, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. In fact, if you watched my news video, I even talked about how, a lot of people are really upset about that because they want a brand new experience tailored to the new console and the new hardware, and they're not getting that. And that is kind of a good argument for this argument. So really the big thing we're talking about with PlayStation is gonna be Spider-Man. And that's what we know so far. And it's gonna be, what is this new Spider-Man game? Is it gonna be worth picking up a console day one for this game? And this is gonna be your launch game. Now, jump back over to the Xbox. Now, this video, as of recording this, it's before the big Xbox event in July, but the only thing we really kind of know in stone, solid stone, is Halo Infinite. And even that has very little information. However, we don't know much about gameplay. We don't know, there's always been these rumors about maybe more of an open world, which is kind of wild. Who knows how that's going to be. But the only thing we do know, as far as a point in the Xbox camp, is this game was built for the ground up with the Xbox Series X in mind. Now, another thing to note is, as Microsoft has said, all console exclusives beforehand are going to go back to the Xbox One X for at least a year, or the Xbox One. For at least a year. So this game, Halo Infinite, will be playable on old hardware, but it was designed for the new hardware. And that's kind of the big argument right now, is with the information we're given right now, you have basically two games pitted against each other. You have Spider-Man versus Halo Infinite. Personally, I mean, this is just taking me into the equation. Obviously, I would like Halo Infinite more, and that's not even knowing anything about it. Only because, it's a new thing that's going to be straight up tailor-made for the new console. But, I'm not saying Spider-Man's going to be bad, but is Spider-Man the game that Sony wanted to pit against Master Chief? I don't think so. I think originally, if you watched the PS5 reveal last week, one of the big games they showed was Horizon Zero Dawn. That was also one of the games they showed that did not have any kind of date. And I am, in my mind, 90% sure that Horizon Zero Dawn was likely meant to be their flagship game. And who knows, they didn't give a date, so I'm not saying that may not still happen. But, doesn't it seem more reasonable that you would have Master Chief versus Aloy, rather than Master Chief versus Spider-Man? I know Sony does own the rights to Spider-Man, so it's very logical, and it's a big franchise for them. I'm not trying to underplay Spider-Man as not being a big franchise, but when you think of, Sony, you think, big first-party games, Spider-Man it's not that they're not a first-party game. You think Spider-Man, it's bigger than gaming. Spider-Man is movies. Spider-Man is comic books. When you're selling a game console and you're tailoring to gamers, you want to step off with a game. I mean, think about the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch launched with Breath of the Wild. I mean, right out the gate, most people, it's their favorite Zelda game. Think back generations ago, Nintendo 64 launched with Mario 64. I mean, that to most people is the best Mario game on, around. I mean, I love Mario 64. The only thing that may have dethroned it in my mind would be Mario Odyssey, just because it was like a better Mario 64. So I think we haven't heard it all yet. I think that PlayStation is going to, obviously both companies are going to be showing us more stuff as we go along. But, PlayStation's going to be showing more games. They're going to be showing, more gameplay. And hopefully they'll be giving us more dates. And then, of course, on the other hand, we have July's Xbox event, where we're going to get, hopefully, a lot of information. And also, hopefully, actual gameplay. And that last thing they had was really curated trailers. But, as we stand right now, as we're recording this video, we kind of have two games launching that are exclusive. And that's pretty much Spider-Man versus Halo. And, we don't know anything about Halo, but I tell you what, just given the information, how long they've been working on it, how it's been tailor-made for the new console, it's pretty much looking a little one-sided right now. But what do you guys think? This is kind of a crazy, touchy subject, and this subject is going to evolve. It's going to change. In July, we're going to get a huge swath of information on Microsoft. So, I might be doing a follow-up video talking about these games are launching, and then Sony really has to clap back with something rough. But what do you think? Two questions. One, do you think any of the games that Sony has presented in their previous video are going to be in the holiday? They just hadn't said anything yet. And then the other question is given the information we have right now, basically saying right now it's Spider-Man versus Halo, where are you sitting at? Are you sitting on the Xbox? Or are you sitting on the PS5? I made the mistake last time of buying the last generation of consoles like day one, and both of them had nothing for games. So this year I think both companies are remedying that. So we'll just see what happens. But that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thanks for chiming in, hanging out with me. Like and subscribe if you haven't. And please, I would love to hear some comments on this one, because this is getting really interesting. I can't wait to see what comes out of it. But hey, as always, please take it easy.